RAM Promaster City is an Americanized version of the Fiat Doblo, originally designed and built in Italy and now sold in many countries. The vehicle's engines and transmissions are built in the American Midwest and shipped to Turkey for installation in the vans, then returned here as completed vehicles. Why? I don't know. Nimble and efficient, the RAM Promaster City cargo van boasts an impressive 131.7 cubic feet of cargo space, letting you pack what you need and get on the go. It is built to deliver, a true standout from similar sized work vans with 178 horsepower and 1,900 pounds of payload capacity. I saw this sleeper of a vehicle as the perfect platform for my solo traveler project. After years of dreaming and one more year in development, the Humble Road Micro Camper, affectionately referred to as Mini-Me, is here. This is Humble Road's Micro Camper. We call her Mini-Me. Hello. I'm back. I'm back with my Mini-Me's. I told you I'd be back with my Mini-Me's. This is Mini-Me number 2. Number 2 was actually my personal driver, my daily driver. I bought it in 2019, brand new, and I put 48,000 miles on it. I wanted to make sure that it was an adequate platform for this project. And it is. It is. It's a mule. This little thing is a mule. It's fast, it's very sporty, it drives like a sports car. It's got great gas mileage, and it's got a good payload. You could put a lot of stuff in here. I've actually loaded this thing up with cinder blocks, side to side, floor to ceiling. We loaded it up. This mule brought those blocks right back to my son's backyard. We're building him a shed. That was the foundation. It takes a lot of weight. So, a good platform for us to build on. They fit in your garage. So if you're in one of those associations, those home associations where they don't allow campers, you could probably park this outside because it's very unobtrusive, but it does fit in the garage. And if you are in the very cold climates, put it in the garage with some heat. Take care of the little baby. This one is sold to a very insightful woman in Minnesota, Melissa in Minnesota. Melissa got a Mini-Me for Minnesota. So she's taking 02 back to Minnesota. Mini-Me number 1, as you know, was purchased by the gal who purchased my Humble Road van number 1. So now she owns both number 1 vans, the large platform and the micro platform. Another smart lady. So let me show you what these vans are all about and what they got inside. Huh? How about this? Isn't this cool? The Mini-Me's. What's a Mini-Me, you ask? It's Promaster City, and it's a solo traveler. These vans are designed and built to be solo travelers, one human being. It would not be practical to try to put 2 people in this thing. It's too small. You're going to fail. You're going to get angry at one another. If you must travel with someone, you've got a significant other or a best friend you want to travel with, then you each buy one. And you travel together. At the end of the day, you circle up like you corral, like a wagon train. You have your camping and cooking outside. Then you each have your own private Mini-Me to retire to with your own bed, your own bathroom, your own galley. That's a great idea, George. I think it's a great idea. Buy 2 at a time. Anyway, the Mini-Me is a solo traveler. It's got all the amenities that are important for van life. We do charge the batteries while you're driving. We have 300 watts of solar on the roof. You've got a 14-gallon fresh water tank. You've got a 6-gallon gray tank. You've got this nice big countertop. We're making these in-house now. Everything is edge banded. This is a matte black Formica, and it ties in really nicely with the walnut. So I'm going to offer these vans with 3 different woods. You can get walnut, you can get cherry, you can get white oak. I'll offer it with 3 different floors. Now, obviously, if you pick the walnut, there's going to be a floor that's the right choice to go with the walnut. Same thing with the wall colors. You can get beige, you can get a light dove gray, or white. depending on how you want to mix this all together. And the ceilings should always be white because that just gives you a feeling of openness. All of the vinyl is that marine grade vinyl, so it's very durable, it's cleanable, it's wipeable. A nice big expansive galley countertop here you got. So we finally figured out what we wanted to do with that little bolt we had holding the wall up. We got ourselves an articulating mirror, and it's lighted. Perfect. How nice is that? Work surface on both sides of the sink. The sink comes with a bamboo cutting board. Comes with a disc drainer underneath here in the bottom. It's a nice big deep sink. It's a beautiful material. I want to put this sink in every mini-me. Same with this faucet. This is a perfect faucet for this mini-me. And then you've got your filtered water. Now for cooking, we have an induction cooktop that stores right over here on the side of the galley. You can place this cooktop right here and you plug it in down on the side of Command Central. So the reason I didn't inset this into the counter, because you would have been forced into this kind of a position given what's underneath in these drawers. It was too limiting and it took away a lot of drawer space. You've got these this is a utensil drawer and this is more galley storage. So it took all that away. So I decided to let it live down at the end, because you don't always cook, you don't always need it out in your face. You can run this over to the edge of the fiddle rail, plug it in, and you've got all this prep area. You know, depends if you're a lefty or a righty, whatever you want to do. You have options, and that's what I'm big on, options. So that's how you do your cooking. You've got your max air fan right here. You can exhaust. You can take this cooker outside. Like I said, there's an outlet here. There's an outlet on the other end of the galley. So your two outlets are there. I don't know if you can see this switch down here. We've got a switch in the down position. Your outlets are live and you can use the cooker or blow dryer or whatever you want to use on the outlets. In this position, the outlets are dead and the current goes to that water heater to make your hot water. So if you want hot water at this sink, it's on demand with a 0.5 gallon a minute flow rate. If you want hot water, this goes up, your outlets are disabled, and you've got your hot water to do your thing here. Then you shut it off. Always leave the hot water heater off and revert back to the outlets. So that's kind of a foolproof system there. And when your induction cooktop has cooled off, you just slide it right back here. It's a custom made little storage box, and we made it slightly larger in case you buy a different cooker at some point in the future. It should fit. This compartment in front of the sink comes off. It's with magnets. What this allows you to do is it allows you to change your filter cartridge, your sediment filter cartridge for the drinking water. It also allows you to get at your UV box, get at your drains. It gives you a lot of access. And then you just put it closed. If you're lucky, you can hang a dish towel on here. If I take these drawers out, you have access to the plumbing valves. There's 3 different zones in the plumbing system. You have access to the things that are inside this compartment by just taking the drawers out. If you need to do further work, this entire drawer box comes out. Now you're wide open. You take this box out, you take this off, and our induction cooktop housing here, that comes off with 4 screws. So I can literally open up this galley and work on what's under it. All of my wiring that ties into my gauges in Command Central. I've got 3 zones for the plumbing, which means that if you're driving down the road and you're on one of your great trips and the filtered water system springs a leak or it malfunctions in some way, Just get in here, take the drawers out, turn off that zone, and be on your way. It doesn't affect the rest of the plumbing. Same thing if the sink went bad or the hot water went bad, you can adjust these. You can shut them down and get on your way, and then you'll fix it when you get the chance. Down the end of the aisle here is my Dometic CFX refrigerator freezer chest. It's a 12-volt product, and it's a portable fridge freezer, keeps your food cold and frozen. And I have it sitting in here. You can unplug it and you can take it wherever you want. It's very efficient. It only sucks about 3 amps to run it off our battery, which we have plenty of battery. I'll show you that later. You could use this as a night table if you put your head down at this end for sleeping. Speaking of sleeping, I also installed a night light. So at nighttime, you would retire for the evening, you shut off all the other lights, and you just run with the red night light underneath here. It's not in your eyes, but you'd be surprised. With night vision, you can see everything you need to do in here, and nobody would ever know you were in here. And down this end of the aisle, I've got these 3 storage bays, okay? They are all exactly the same size. So I'm providing you with these little baskets. And then the third bay is a toilet. Toilet slides out. You'll pull it down into the central park area of the van, which is the big open area by the sliding door. And you use the toilet down there, and then you put it away. Now, if you're sleeping with your head down at this end rather than the other end, you may not want to store this toilet right here. You may want to store it in this bay, further away from your schnozzolo. All these bays are the same size, so you've got options as to what you want to put in them. Now, I could have very easily built drawers into these bays, but that doesn't make sense because, first of all, the drawer box, the carcass of that whole thing, is taking up mass, and you're giving up storage space for the mass. Plus, these baskets, you bring these in the house, you fill them up with your clothing, and then you bring them right outside and you put them in place. Now, there is another space for clothing in this van that I'm going to show you in a minute. So this one could be laundry. This one could be photo equipment, painting supplies, cleaning, whatever you want. And they go back very deep, so you could double up. You can stick some stuff behind these baskets. So that's what I'm doing. I'm giving you these baskets with the build as part of the basic package. We're running a special. Over here, above the cockpit, is the clothing tray. This garment tray is something I mentioned earlier in the video. You get a lot of clothing up here. Most of your clothing can fit right up here, and that'll open up these compartments down here for other things you want to take with you. Very easy to access this and then put it back up. There's a little seatbelt mount. That's how this clicks together. And we've got little rubber wings on each side so it doesn't rattle or torque in any way. It's very easy. When you drop it down, it just rests on top of your headrests, and you can get a lot of clothing up here. On this end of the aisle, Central Park. We call this Central Park because it's the biggest, widest expanse in the van with a nice big view through this sliding door on the passenger side. Here's our Dometic cooler freezer. This faceplate here is the front end of the compartment that holds the battery and the inverter and the assorted breakers and bus bars. I'll show you that later. But right here we've got a ventilation grill for the inverter to keep it cool. I'm very big on ventilation throughout my builds. I believe the whole van should be able to breathe on its own, passively. Nice big junk drawer. You can bring a lot of stuff. You got to bring some stuff, right? So you got a nice big drawer there. This little button here that's lit blue ring, that's a main shut-off for the battery system. The whole electrical system goes on and off with that little button. USB port. Every USB port in the van is a dual plug port for USB. And then this is your breakers and your fuses for the DC and AC systems. This is the end of the galley. I call this Command Central because this is where all the action takes place in terms of gauges and whatnot. This is your switch panel, right? These are your lights. There's a fuzzy logic. The first switch turns on the lights over there. The second switch turns on the lights over here. So there's a fuzzy logic to it. These are your night lights. You've got a water pump switch and you've got the Acuva water filtration system, and I left one of these switches vacant in case we want to add something at a later date. We do plan on putting in a nice little hutch above this galley. We haven't designed it yet, but we're going to offer that as an option. So it may have additional lighting under the hutch. You got the switch already there for it, and I'm already wired for it. The reason I don't use dimmers, because I need this to be command central for all the switches, and you can't knock these switches. You know, you're moving in a very small space, and the tendency would be to either inadvertently knock a switch on or actually break the toggle right off. Dimmer switches are typically very delicate instruments, and I did not want to get involved in having to replace those because you knocked them right off the wall. You can't do anything here. This is a perfect switch panel for this function, this situation. This is my Xantrex inverter remote. So all of your activity to do with the inverter is there to charge your batteries when you're plugged into shore power. And when you do turn it on, it powers your 120 volt outlets, and it also powers your hot water on-demand tankless hot water heater under the galley. This is the Lithionics remote control panel. So all of your Lithionics stuff will be done here or with an app on your phone. Very good app on your phone. There's another USB port, dual. This little button here, when you press it, it turns on a light. And what that does is it allows you to see how you're filling up your fresh tank. 14-gallon fresh water tank. This is a little sight tube. Rather than having a gauge, you can actually see the level of the water coming up in the tank as you fill it, and you're filling it right here. The fill for this, I'm actually using a hose barb in reverse. So what you do is you take this little gizmo here. This would be attached to your garden hose. And then you attach your garden hose to your water source, right? The valve is off. They turn the valve on over there. You come back here. You turn your valve on. You fill your fresh water tank. You take a look to see when it's full. Then you're able to turn this off. Now you can remove this, and you're going to get ever so slight a little dribble that comes out of this little compartment here. You'll have a towel. When you do this, you bring a towel with you. You know it's going to happen. Take it off. The towel wipes it up. This is the vent for the freshwater tank. Under no circumstances should there ever be water spitting out of this vent. And this is a waterproof outlet. It's got a waterproof cover. It's sitting in a waterproof box, and it is surrounded by the RV roof repair tape, that big white stuff that once you stick it, you can't get it off. You're safe. You will not have any problems in this van. I wouldn't let it out if I thought you would. Under this end of the bed, it could be the head or the foot, depending on how you like to sleep. You do have the option, and you can sleep at either end of this bed whenever the fancy suits you. So this end hinges up out of the way. This bottom bed platform is slatted for ventilation, and it's also slatted because it kind of acts like a hammock, a sling situation, and that adds to your sleeping comfort. All this stuff in here, this is all the electronics for the van. Lithionics 315 amp hour lithium battery, Xantrex XC Pro 3000 watt inverter, your assorted bus bars and fuses and breakers, all in this area. And everything is visible and accessible, easy to replace. Why would you worry about replacing it? Because you know it's going to break. It's going to break, and when it does, it's easy to get in here and replace it. There's no heartache, there's no additional labor, there's no cursing. I believe in access. Now we got access. On this side of physical plant, we've got all of our breakers and shutoffs. Here's the battery, right? So if that has to get replaced, you just disconnect it, slide it right out. We are going to have a chock stop right here. We didn't put it in yet because we haven't glued down our nosing. Once this is glued down, we'll put our chock stop back in so this battery can't slide when you take those crazy turns. Orion Smart DC to DC charger, or Orion, whatever you want to call it. When you're driving the van, you're charging the battery with a 30 amp DC to DC charger. So when the engine's running, if this battery needs charge, this is going to do it. It's got fuses up front, it's got a breaker right here, and coming over here today, we were actually getting 35 amps out of this thing. You need to keep them ventilated, and what I did is in mounting these, this is your solar controller, this is your DC to DC charger. I actually cut holes in the back where the cooling fins are. There's like a heat sink back there. I opened up the mounting wall so that there's more airflow to those cooling fins. When they overheat, they tend to devalue their performance. That won't happen because we've got so much ventilation going on. This is your breaker for your solar panels. I've got 300 watts of solar on the roof tied together in series. So that comes down at like 70 volts. And then this breaker is positive and negative break. Then it goes to the solar controller. Solar controller goes through its breaker and then to the charge to the bus bar. So everything, I breaker and fuse everything on either side of a device to play it safe. This is the main shutoff for the battery. This is the shutoff for the inverter. This is your DC house. Everything's going to be labeled and there'll be no mistaking what you need to do in here. All nice and tidy. And again, if I have to replace any of these components, a couple of screws, this comes off, I can get at everything. Everything is very accessible. That's important. And you can see my slats up there. See that sling system? Very comfortable, very comfortable. Another cool feature we have here is an iPad articulating arm. So what you do with this thing, it's a little hard to manage right now because it's so new. I'm going to loosen it up a little. If you have your head down at this end, you set your iPad here to watch a movie. Here's your USB plug to plug it in case you didn't have enough battery power. You know, you might have been watching the Godfather trilogy and you needed electric. Plug it in. If you sleep with your head down at that end, just spin it around and you can watch it from that side. Now, if you got yourself a really cool pair of wireless headphones, okay, you get set up for the night, you turn out all the lights, you put on your red night light, put your headphones on, you're watching, you're like you're in a cinema, you're cranking that movie, nobody knows you're in here. Pretty cool. I can't wait to try that myself. So this is a little difficult to move. I'm gonna have to get a little oil on that, loosen it up. By the way, the iPad's not included. What do you think I am, Steve Jobs? Another little feature that we brought into these vans are these little USB powered fans. Got them on Amazon. We retrofitted them so they've got magnets on them. And now you can position these fans anywhere you want, right? Look, they go wherever you can see any of the body panel chassis. That's where you put them. And wherever you are going to place them, we gave you a USB port. There's 2 USB ports back here, actually 4 plugs, 2 USBs. There's a USB here if you want to put your little fan on the sliding door. There's a USB here. You could put a fan here and plug it in there. So you got a lot of options and they're very quiet and they push around just the right amount of air for this little van. They're hysterical. The fabric. I forgot to mention that the fabric in these vans, in the 4 doors, the 2 doors back here and the 2 sliding doors, this is a fabric panel that you would have a choice of. You choose the wood, you choose the floor, you choose the wall color, and you choose your fabric. The mattress, I'm getting my mattresses from that really great place called the Futon Shop in San Francisco. These are 100% natural. This is a 4-inch mattress. It's 1 inch of natural wool, 2 inches of natural memory foam, I think it's latex, and then another inch of the wool, 100% wool. So they're hypoallergenic. The covers zip off, you throw them right in the washing machine. I know you'd like that. And they've got a great selection of covers fabrics that you can choose from. You just send in the order number for this size mattress, which is 27 by 70, and you can have all these different covers made, winter, summer, whatever you want to do. Like I said, 70 inches. These vans are not made for big people, tall people. So 5'8", 5'7" is about as tall as you want to be to consider a mini-me. So it's easy to remember. 5'8" or 5'7" is as tall as you want to be if you want to consider a mini-me. I don't think I had to repeat that. Back of the van here, we have our little storage cubby off the back of the bed. On one side it acts as a headboard, and then back here it's two storage cubbies. There's a storage cubby down in here, and then there's another one in here, and it's a mix of walnut and ABS plastic. And all of our walnut and ABS plastic panels get glued in so we don't have any rattling while you're driving. And as I said, we drove both of these vans over today. There isn't a rattle, a squeak, or a bump in either one of them. Smart plug cord. This is your 50-foot smart plug cord. 30 amps of shore power on the side. That comes with the basic build. You get your water hose. You put your water hose in here to fill up your fresh tank. We cannot put anything on these doors because we built right out to the back of the van. So when you close this door, you got about a 1/4 inch. So you can't put any kind of L-track back here. This side, this is the induction cooktop cubby. The induction cooktop cubby. 2 screws here. Another 2 screws that you get at once you pull this panel off. This entire cubby comes off, and you have access to all the components. Very easily, I can strip down this entire galley to nothing so I can work on all the components that are in there. And then it all goes back very easily. The induction cooktop is sitting on a foam floor, and it's got a little slit in it to accept that glass flange, and then it's foam-backed wall here. So this thing can't ever get damaged or get hurt. And it is wide. See, the cubby is much larger, so if you did buy a larger microwave in the future, a larger induction cooktop, it should fit in here. You can see we got full access, full aisle all the way down, front to back. Got a 15-inch wide aisle, which is more than some vans give you if you had twin beds in them, for instance. The fabrics, these panels are the fabrics you would get to choose, and we put those in depending if you wanted warm tones or cool tones. You decide. To date, these 2 vans are both walnut, and I would typically put the walnut with a warmer floor like this. In Mini-Me number 1, I made a mini replica of van number 1. So she's got a lot of similarity. The flooring in both vans is exactly the same. Her fabric's exactly the same. She's got a feature wall in the big van, which is the same fabric I put inside her Mini-Me. So they are semi-custom. The floor plan will remain the same. This is what you get. Galley's right there. Bed's right here, and as you saw from the battery compartment, I cannot lower this bed. I will not lower this bed. Let me put it that way. I've got a toilet that fits under there, and I've got my mechanicals. There's 315 amps of lithium on this. You're never going to run out of power with this van. I've seen other people building out this van where the bed is so low they've got to actually cut the mattress around the wheel well. Now that's great for your headroom, and in my opinion, it's wasted room. I'd much rather have that room on the underside. So those are the decisions I made in designing and building this van, and it's not for everybody. I definitely limited my market to a certain height individual. I'm okay with that. I made that decision. But as I said, this fits in the garage. It's very economical to drive. You're going to get 30 miles to a gallon of gas. How many houses do you know get 30 miles to a gallon? One of the options that we are going to offer is a moonshade awning. The moonshade awning comes with magnets and suction cups that you would typically attach to a big van. Well, for these little mini-me's, that moonshade awning is perfect. However, in order to use it, it's a 5 by 7 foot awning. we want to use it the 7-foot lengths, and our roof rack was not long enough. So what we did is we added this little adjuster, which sends this out. So let me show you how this works. This is not part of the original build, but it is an add-on. So here's the moon shade. I've got this already set up. You can see when I set it up for the 7-foot, it's pretty much the length of the car, which is great. So we have these little D-rings that we put in place, and I click one D-ring on that side. Then I bring our adjustable arm to the other D-ring, click that in. Then all I have to do at that point is get my poles and lift them up. We're connected to the van now. It can't blow away. And this also has a D-ring and a little clip. Oh, this is too high. Take that all the way down, and your D-rings clip onto the pole. So now you can't go anywhere. Isn't that nice? But I'm going to show you something else we're working on, which is really cool. Get in there. Okay. Now let me see if you're on camera. I might have to back up a little bit. Yeah, you can't see it. Hold on. Ready? Let me move you this way so you can see what I'm going to do over there. Turn, turn, turn. All right, now, look at this. This is great. This awning looks like it was custom made for this van. It's just wonderful. It's just the right size. You could set a few chairs out here, a table. You could cook on a grill, or your induction cooktop can come out. You got a plug right there. This is really nice. This is so cozy. And this thing sets up very quickly. I've got some videos you can reference to see how long it takes to set this up. It's not that big a deal. It really isn't. Now, the next step that we're going to play with, we haven't designed it fully yet, but they give you these suction cups to mount this on the side of a van. We've already built our rack for that. So what we're going to try to do next is we're going to position these suction cups right here on our van, right? You see where I'm going with this? I think you know where I'm going with this. Click them on. Now you got to raise your tent leg a little bit. You got to lengthen it. I think we're going to go to that one, or maybe one down from there. Now right now I'm just resting this on the D-ring. It may not stay there, but you get the idea of what we want to do here. I want to make use of these suction cups where we can use the suction cups on the side of the van. Come on now, open up. One more. It's a little crooked, but you get the idea. Now you have the option. You can put these tent poles down and stake them into the ground with guidelines. They do provide you with guidelines to stake them all down. Or you can bring them back to the suction cup. We're going to pull the D-ring off, and we're going to create some sort of a locking sleeve or a mechanism so the pole goes and locks in. And that'll tie this whole thing together. It'll withstand some wind, but you should not leave an awning up if it's too windy. You just shouldn't do it. The other thing we checked on this is where we're going to position that suction cup. You can still open the front door. That's why we have it setting out there instead of putting it here on line with the tent material. So you've got full access. You know, come on. It doesn't get any better than this. And then you put this all away, bring it home, and put it in the garage. Look how easy this packs up. That's it.